Stone Soup. Three soldiers, Henry, George, and Lucas, were marching home from the war. They had been marching for many days, and they expected to march many more before they finally made it home. They were cold and tired, but most of all they were hungry. "Look, just over those trees," Henry said, pointing. "I see a church steeple. There must be a town over there. Perhaps the good people will offer us some food." "Good idea," said George. "Let's go," said Lucas. The three soldiers marched toward the town, holding their stomachs and hanging their heads because they were so hungry. They didn't know it, but a little girl saw them coming. She turned and ran to the blacksmith's shop. She banged on his door. "Blacksmith, blacksmith," she said. "Three soldiers are coming. They look hungry. We must offer them food." The blacksmith didn't turn his head. He continued pounding on the big iron pot he was making. "I have no time to be offering food to hungry soldiers. I must get this pot finished, or I will not get paid. If I do not get paid, I cannot buy food, and my family and I will be hungrier than those soldiers." "If you say so," said the girl. Then she ran to the carpenter's shop and banged on the door. "Carpenter, carpenter," she said. "Three soldiers are coming. They look hungry. We must offer them food." The carpenter didn't turn his head. He continued staring at the level he had just placed on top of a table. "Hungry soldiers," he said, without much sympathy. "I have no time to be offering food to three hungry soldiers. I must get this table done, or I will not get paid, and then I will not have enough food to feed my family." "If you say so," said the girl. Then she turned and banged on the baker's door. "Baker, baker," she said. "Three soldiers are coming. They look hungry. We must offer them food." The baker didn't turn his head. He continued pulling fresh loaves of bread out of his oven. "Humph," he said. "I suppose you think I'm going to give those three soldiers some of my fresh bread? I will sell it to them, but I will not give it away for nothing. I must eat, too, you know." The girl went from shop to shop to shop. She asked everyone in town if they could feed three hungry soldiers, but they were all too busy doing their own jobs to offer any help. They told the girl that they did not have enough to feed their own families, let alone the three soldiers. Finally, Henry, George, and Lucas stumbled into the town square. They were colder, more tired, and hungrier than ever. They looked around. Nobody had come out to see them. "Hello," said the girl, who had been watching the soldiers from across the town square. The three soldiers turned. "Aha," said Lucas. "Are you the welcoming committee?" "I am sorry," said the girl. "Everyone in town is very busy right now with their own work. They cannot feed you." "Well then," said Lucas, "we shall have to feed ourselves." He reached down to the ground and picked up a large stone near his feet. "We shall make stone soup. We make it all the time where I come from." "Stone soup?" asked the girl. "But you can't make soup from nothing but stones." "Of course you can," said Lucas. "Stone soup is the best soup in the world, and the best part is that all we need to make it are three large stones and a large pot of water." "Here's a stone," said George. "And here's another," said Henry. "Perfect," said Lucas. "Then if we could just find a large iron pot, we could make the soup ourselves, and we wouldn't bother anyone." "I know where we can get a pot," said the girl. She ran to the blacksmith's shop, but she didn't even have to knock. The blacksmith had been listening through his door. "I am curious about this stone soup," he said. "I'll lend you a pot." He and the girl carried it out to the town square. "Excellent," said Lucas. "Now we just need to fill this pot with water, and we'll start our stone soup cooking. We won't have to bother anyone else." Several people popped out of their houses and shops carrying buckets of water. They dumped the water into the pot. The carpenter popped out of his shop. "Do you need some firewood?" he asked. He carried an armload of wood to the square and began building a fire. George, Henry, and the girl each dropped a stone into the pot. Everyone stood watching Lucas stir the soup. Said Lucas. "It already smells so delicious, and we really don't need anything else, but—" "But what?" asked the girl. "This stone soup looks a tad thin," said Lucas. "Stone soup is best when it has a bit of barley and some meat in it." "I have some barley," said the baker, popping out of his shop. He brought a bowl full of barley and tossed it into the soup. "I have a side of beef that I just chopped up," said the butcher. He came out with a plate piled high with cubes of beef and dropped it into the pot. "Ah," said Lucas, stirring and sniffing. "The soup looks much better now, but, oh dear." "What?" asked the townspeople. "This stone soup would be even better with a little onion and a bit of salt." The grocer brought onions and salt. Other townspeople turned up carrying a few items from their homes: potatoes, turnips, carrots, and celery. All of these were chopped up and tossed in the pot. "Excellent," said Lucas. He stirred, sniffed, and then took a little taste. He stood up straight. All the townspeople watched and waited. Finally, Lucas said, "It is perfect." The townspeople sighed with pleasure. "Except," said Lucas, "I forgot one very important thing." What? The townspeople asked. "Stone soup is best when it is shared." The townspeople cheered. They brought out tables and chairs. They brought out bowls and cups and spoons. They brought out fresh apple cider, loaves of crusty bread, and fig pies. They talked and laughed with the soldiers and ate and ate and ate. They ate every last bit of stone soup, all except the 3 stones which sat at the bottom of the pot. "Thank you for teaching us to make stone soup," said the girl. She peered into the pot. "But the stones are still there. Why didn't they get cooked into the soup?" "That's odd," said Lucas. He winked at the girl and whispered, "Perhaps you were right in the first place. Perhaps you can't make soup from stones after all." With their stomachs full and spirits raised, the 3 soldiers waved goodbye to the little girl and the townspeople, and they continued on their long march home.